Hey guys, welcome back to Sounds Like a You Problem. I'm your host, Daisy. This is episode 9. Failure doesn't exist. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to yell at you a little bit. I'm sorry. It's just tough love. This is me, your big sis, telling you what I think you need to hear and what I wish I would have heard when I was younger, which is the whole premise of this podcast. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, go ahead and follow. Give me a 5-star rating on Spotify if you do anything. It helps me out so much and helps me to continue to do this. Okay, so stop being afraid of failing. Stop being afraid of failing because failure doesn't exist. You know what failure is? Failure is redirection. And guess what happens if you try something and it doesn't work out? You learned something. You gained experience. You gained exposure. You gained knowledge. You still gain from attempting something that doesn't inherently turn out successful, right? So things don't always work out that way. That doesn't mean that they won't work out. And so redirect. Maybe the timing's off. Maybe the wording was off. Like, it doesn't matter what it was. It is redirecting you, okay? And you've learned something. So if you're afraid to fail, you will never start. And if you never start, you will never succeed. You see what I'm saying? Like, you cannot be afraid of failure because it doesn't exist. Like, it doesn't exist. You learn things. Think of everything as an experience, right? And it either works out or it doesn't. But it doesn't mean it won't always work out. It can work out later down the line when the timing's right, or the money's right, or the people are right, okay? So, like, if you never start, how do you know if you're going to succeed? How do you know if it's going to work out? You don't know that it's not going to work out, right? Okay, but say that it doesn't. What did you learn? What did you gain? Because I guarantee at the minimum you've gained experience or you learned how to not do something. And that's still knowledge. That's still growth, right? We can do this differently and probably better, and it will probably be easier. And you can be stronger when you realize that this experience doesn't ruin your life. Just write your book differently. And now you have a better backstory to your success, honestly. I mean, I've been online doing makeup for over 8 years, and I'm not a beauty guru. Like, I just started getting PR this year. I only get it from a couple brands. I mean, 8 years, guys, and I just kept trying, and I still do it. But, like, if you go to my TikTok, which is linked, that's what you're going to find, is makeup videos. You'll find sobriety and recovery content and inspiring motivational content as well, but you're going to find makeup content because that's what I started doing online. And it's never inherently been successful. It's not something I make a full-time living off of, but it doesn't mean that it won't one day. And I'm passionate and I enjoy doing it, so I continue to do it. Because I'm not in it for the money. Would I love for that to be my full-time job? Absolutely. But I still enjoy doing it, so I'm still going to do it. You're not the only person in the world that's afraid to fail, okay? You're not the first person to fail, you're not the last person to fail, and you're not the only one that's scared of failing. But you will be the only one that doesn't get that experience if you don't just start and try. You will not be someone who succeeds if you don't try. There is neither success nor failure without attempt. So if you don't attempt it, don't be mad. That's a you problem. You just need to trust yourself and fully understand that risks, small and big, is what changes your life, okay? And if you want more in-depth of how to trust yourself, check out episode 4. It changed everything about how I show up for everything, career-wise, relationship-wise, etc., everything. So check out that episode 4, how to trust yourself. It's actually a lot easier than it sounds, and you probably don't, even if you think you do. You've probably never been asked that question, do you trust yourself? So think about that. I also just want to say, you're not a tree. You're not stuck in the ground, okay? You may feel stuck, but try to understand what it's teaching you and if it's showing you a better route, which it probably is. Because again, it is not failure. It is redirection. It's redirecting you. We're going a different route. We're taking another path. This one didn't work out because it wasn't supposed to work out. It doesn't mean there's not another one that's going to. It's not just how could it go wrong? How could it go right? Okay, and then let me give you like a real life example. So I started a mental health awareness and sobriety and recovery clothing brand. And I had it for like almost a year. I made like 50 sales from it and maybe more. Anyway, I did the math and I had profited exactly $1.13. I spent so much time and energy and effort creating ideas, mocking them up, buying the mock-ups, figuring out how to do mock-ups, getting different apps to integrate it, getting a website, posting listings on Etsy, writing all the descriptions, doing all the promotional content for it, doing the marketing, doing the advertising, paying for ads, figuring out how to even make a good ad, sharing it on my story, constantly posting about it, constantly creating, constantly coming up with ideas, constantly designing ideas. Like I was literally coming out with like 20 a day, and every launch would be like 60 different designs because I was trying to do what you might have heard of that is called, dang, now I can't even remember what it's called. But it's basically a thing on Etsy where it can become passive income. But I also wanted it to have a message behind it. And I wanted, no matter what the size of the item was, to be the same price. But vendors charge you more for a larger size because it's more fabric. So therefore it's more product. So I ended up not being able to do that. And because I couldn't make it all inclusive for everyone to be the same price, I didn't want to do it at all. And when I realized I'd only profited $1.13, I was like, that's fine because I'm not trying to get rich off of this. I believe in this idea. I believe in having inspiring messages on clothing because I believe in having inspiring conversations can do a lot for someone. And sometimes you're maybe intimidated to talk to someone. So if they could read it on a shirt, that could be the sign that they needed today to stay in the world. Like it was very dear and very, very close to my heart. Like it was just another passion project, another way for me to spread positivity and spread my message and to try to help others in the world through clothing, because the next best thing to conversation, in my opinion, was wearing something on a piece of clothing. It's like the thing that's going to be seen the most, if you will. Well, I could not justify how much time, effort, and energy I was putting into it every single week and day and showing up for it to only get $1.13. And then I was like also looking at integration and the way that I'd already raised the prices, and it wasn't fair for people because like the smalls were so expensive just to make it inclusive for the triple XL sizes, because I mean, I was just doing this. Like I worked a random 9 to 5 at a doggy daycare center, and I was like, I'm gonna quit, and I'm gonna start a makeup business, and this is how, t-shirts is gonna keep me on the back end in business if my finances start to like disintegrate or go lower, or on days that I have wishy-washy months when it comes to makeup, because it's really hard to get consistent makeup clientele because not everyone is getting married every Tuesday of every month. And I'm only one person, I'm only in one area, and there are plenty of other makeup artists as well. So there's competition, right? So I was like, this is my backup way. So anyway, it gave me the courage to quit my 9 to 5, like my random minimum wage job that I absolutely just hated, because I was still doing TikTok. I was still doing all these things that brought me passion and joy, and I knew I wanted to do something more and something better in the world. I ended up having to make the decision to stop the clothing brand. And when I did that, that was like more than a year ago, okay? And I was like, well, maybe I could still keep some of the pieces that I've created and turn that into a merch line and have a podcast. I was like, because I want to get this message out there and I want to talk about these things, but this is too much. Like, I'm giving more than what this is worth, and I'm still not like conveying and being able to spread my message in a way that I want to. So I shut that down, and that was hard because I had put myself out there and put myself online and advocated for it and posted it and just believed in it so much, and I still believed in it. I didn't want me shutting down the shop that I still pay fees on because I forgot to cancel my Etsy store, by the way. But it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Good reminder for me to do that. I didn't want people to have a lack of faith in me or think that I failed at what I did, because I knew whenever I was closing that down that I wasn't failing. I was going a new direction. At no point did it cross my mind that like, wow, this didn't work out or it's failing for me. It just didn't work out in that way. That doesn't mean that look at me here now. I'm on my 9th episode of a podcast. I'm filming the 10th one after this. I post twice a week. I went back to a 9 to 5. I just put in my 2 weeks at my 9 to 5. I'm making a teeny little bitty amount of money on TikTok, which could eventually grow and become fruitful. Is it a full-time income? No, but it does help like substantiate when my bookings are low, because I still do makeup, lashes, and brows. But I'm like, I can't do the podcast and TikTok and YouTube. And on top of that, marketing and advertising for myself, and then still show up for a 9 to 5, 3 days in a row for 10-hour shifts. Like, it was draining me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the leap because I'm not going to fail. I might be redirected. Something else might come up in this scene that I'm in that I'm passionate about, But that's okay, because this is what I want to do. This is what brings me joy. This is what I feel the most purposeful in, is spreading a message, spreading awareness, being someone's big sister. Like, that is the thing that I am the most proud of in my life, is being a good sister and being a big sister. And that's all I am. I don't have any older siblings, and my mom wasn't present growing up, as you guys know, and I have been told many a times that I feel like a big sis to others. So that's me. That's who I am. That's my superpower. Being who you are and leaning into who you are is a motherfucking superpower. I don't care what you say. So figure out what it is, okay? And realize that not every decision that you make in every single business venture is going to be seen as failure, or people are going to lose trust in you, or think that you lack integrity or anything like that. Things happen. Life happens. Redirection happens. And that's all this is doing, is redirecting you down the path that you need to do. And now I'm excited because I know that I'll be able to bring a few of those designs back when this podcast gets where I need it to be. Again, we're only on the 10th episode. I only have 30 reviews on Spotify. I've gained a few subscribers on YouTube. Like, things are, and I appreciate every single bit of it. But obviously I do need a little bit of a stronger following, a stronger presence on here before I just throw out merch. And I want to take my time with it. I want to be a perfectionist with it. I want to be very specific about the designs. I want to be very specific about the launches. I want to be as inclusive price-wise as possible. I don't want to get rich off of this. I just want it to be another outlet and another way for me to spread and share my message, right? And I just am so obsessed with the name of my podcast, Sounds Like a You Problem, because I think it calls us all out. Did you know that 80% of the population isn't self-aware? I seen a TikTok saying that the other day, and I was like, yeah, I know, because they came into the restaurants I worked at. I know they're not self-aware. They're on the road with me. I know they're not self-aware. They're in my comments. But I thought it was interesting because she was saying that from an educational standpoint, that more than 80% of the population is not self-aware. And we need to be self-aware. We have to be self-aware. So anyway, not being self-aware is a you problem, and that's why I just resonate with the title so much, and I think that that can be such a great creative way to implement this into some kind of merch line that I plan on dropping, like Sounds Like a You Problem. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I'm happy to be here. I am just so blessed to know that I have touched and changed so many people's lives and perspectives and hearts when it comes to the way that they view addiction in their family, within themselves, to change the way that they view shame and guilt and regret when it comes to recovery. That's so important. It is monumental to someone's survival who is experiencing addiction, and I'm just me. But I've been through a lot, and so it feels like everything that I've been through is worth it to share all of this crap with you guys, because it is. Life can be crappy, but I just want to share all of it with you so that you can hear it first before it happens to you. So you get a little bit of a heads up, a little bit of a jump start on something that might be super detrimental. Anyway, failure is redirection. Failure doesn't exist. So if you think something's not working out, don't look at it as failure. It is just putting you on a different route, a different path. And if you're scared of trying it all because fear of failure is what is paralyzing you, just know that you will never, ever get to know, and you will never get the experience or the knowledge that you could if you just tried. So I encourage you today to go create something that makes you passionate. Go look into what it takes to start a boutique. Go look at what it takes to write a book. Go write one page of a book. And then start a goal and do it every day, once a week. I'm sorry, not every day, but do it once a week. Write a page in your book. Go start a TikTok account. Go do something that it makes you passionate and brings you joy, and that is a creative expression, okay? Because it's therapeutic for one, and for two, if you don't try, you won't know. Go make a YouTube channel. Post a YouTube video. You could end up blowing up before I do, and I've been doing this 8 years. You never know. You never know the luck of the draw. You never know how the world is going to perceive you. And if you put all these restrictions and restraints on how you think it's going to turn out and how you think you're going to be perceived, then you're never going to try, because that's intimidating. So just remember, it's not how could it go wrong, it's how could this go right. All right? Failure doesn't exist, and you're not the only one afraid. You're not alone. Go do it. I believe in you. Create something. If anything inspires you at all in any way, please go create something. Go do something. And I know I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast to leave me a 5-star rating on Spotify, but I actually would like to take that back and ask you a different thing. So instead of rating me on Spotify, I want you to go create something this week that brings you passion and joy and that makes you feel scared to do it because you think that you're going to fail. So do that for me, please, because I think that it's really important. If you're not going to listen to my advice and you don't want to go create something and you still are scared of failing, sounds like a you problem.